You're right.
This is WZRD Chicago 88.3 FM. And we have with us at WZRD Jimbo Ross, viola player. And where are you now, Jimbo?
I live in Marina Del Rey, which is an area by the beach next to Venice Beach,
Mhm.
near LAX airport. But we're is right we're close, like Los Angeles area. So I'm right nearby all the studios and Hollywood and everything where we need to get to nearby.
It's what's the challenge of playing viola? Because there aren't that very many that are as skilled as you are. Is it on account of the viola, the instrument being heavy? How much? I've always wanted to see how much it weighed, but I didn't want to touch other people's property. What to just is it heavy?
Right, it's just a little larger than a violin. That's all. So it's like the violin is like a soprano of a choir,
Uh,
and a viola player is like the alto of a choir. So you figure, as far as like the voice range, the sopranos are up here, violas are more like la, and cellos are la. You know,
oh, uh,
so that's the layers of it. So it's a little bit larger. It's only about an inch or an inch and a half larger, go big this way. The body is a little bit larger, but the wood is basically light. So it's it's not that heavy. However, it's just you need that long arm to be able to get that extra length. Some
mm,
violin players don't have the long arm. And viola was my first instrument when I was in elementary school for third grade. And the only instruments you're allowed to take are violin, viola, or cello. And I wanted to play the drums, or I was like, 8-year old. I wanted to make noise, right? Bang, 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 bang. So my best friend was going to take the viola, and I said, "The what?" He said the viola, because my sister said everybody else will take the violin. If we take the viola, we'll be different. I went, okay. So I was the youngest in my family, so I started learning and got really good right away. He dropped out after 1 week. He couldn't hang with it, but so he was like the messenger to get me to play the viola, I guess. And playing the viola has really helped me over the years because I'd be able to improvise years later as it was, because we're playing a lot of the harmonies in the orchestra. We're playing all the mid-range stuff around the chords. They're sailing away with melodies over here, and the cellos and bass are playing the low end. And I'm sitting right in front of the woodwinds, and we're playing all this magical harmony. So I think that really enabled me to be able to improvise, because I was playing all the inner harmonies. So I was tuned, my ear was ready to, when I found jazz, I just was like, wow, I really took to it.
but so you were very young. You said in the third grade when you started playing, when you started learning?
Right. I was about 8 or 9, somewhere around in there, eight,
Mhm.
9 years old.
And uh, was it difficult for you to learn music and music theory is so young?
Well, actually, I had to teach myself music theory, because they didn't teach theory. They just told you how to play. Here's your notes. We're basically readers. We have to read what song we play. Bach, we play the Telemann, we play the Brahms, the Beethoven, the Mozart, and the notes are all written out. We have to know how to play them and how to phrase them. So classically. So I just got to be a really good reader really young, but it was just learning the techniques to be able to play. I'd studied with my first teacher all the way through going into almost high school, and I outgrew him. So my folks were insurance agents. They asked a friend of theirs, he had a violin player's hands insured. So they called him up and asked him, he's a professional in Hollywood, and they asked him for a better teacher for me. So he gave me a teacher, and it was a protege of William Primrose, who was one of the viola gods of the world.
Mhm.
And so I got to study with him, and he completely reshaped the way I played and held the instrument and approached the playing, and just how to get that to happen. So I went from what I thought was about as good as I could get to, like, I tripled that within a year. So it was really amazing journey there during that period of time. I needed that protege. there's a truck pulling up out back here with a there's a truck. I don't know if you can hear it. It's beeping
Oh.
truck. So it'll
What
go
was
away.
the first thing that he taught you? Do you still remember?
The very first thing he taught me was when I went over to meet him, and uh, he says, "Okay, get out to your." After we talked for a little bit, he says, "Get out your viola." So I click, 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 open the case, got out the viola,
Mhm.
and went to go play, and he goes, "Stop." I'm going, "Oh," I'm like 15 years old. I'm going, "Okay, what did I do?" I put the viola. He said, "Put the viola back." He says, so he gave me about a 5 minute lecture on what was going to happen with playing an instrument. So this is your instrument. You have to connect with it. You have to pick it up with intention, what you're going to do when you're going to start playing. And as soon as you got my mindset, changed my whole mindset to be able to, before you even play, you have to prepare your whole psyche to be able to get to start. You're dedicated to this moment to make this magic happen. And he connected my heart, mind, body, and soul to be able to connect to music. And I'll never forget that. I passed that on to my students when I everything I learned from this man. It was amazing, amazing experience.
So even taking the viola out of the case is a different way. It has to be done a certain way for you to connect with it properly.
Well, yeah, he wanted me to actually have that inset into my mind that I this you touch you proceed with care and with devotion. This is like part of your religious experience, or so to speak. It's like make it part of you. It has to be a part of your heart and your soul. So I was just like, 15-year-old lanky, just in a hurry all the time. Just get out my viola. He goes, no. He said, no, you have to have intention. I went, wow. So I said, okay, so I could actually you had to own it. People just, people just have an instrument, but they don't own it yet because they're not attached. They're not really that attached to it. So it's a beautiful experience. Got me in tune with being in touch with playing.
Mm. Did it help you connect with the music of the spirits?
All sorts of music. It helped me connect with my whole experience with making music, any kind of music. And actually, I transferred that to every part of my life too. I sit at the dinner table, I pick up a fork with intention. I'm going to feed myself. And see, we do things just automatically in life. Once you learn how to do things, you don't put thought into it. But I approach everything with care and intention, and even with speaking with people and the way I interact with people, it's just like making music.
When you move through life with intention, does that slow you down? Maybe in the beginning that maybe it slows you down, but eventually does it help you um, connect faster and maybe do things faster?
Yeah, in the long run, it helps you connect and everything happens faster and with more calmness because you're aware of everything, so you're just constantly taking everything in, and it becomes natural after a while, just like right now talking with you.
Mhm. Well, in your latest album, uh, Jazz, Jazz Passion, what was your latest album again?
Yeah,
I
jazz passion and
Yes,
Satin Latin.
yes. How, why did you choose the songs that you chose?
Well, I we were the songs we picked to record had a mixture of jazz and Latin, and I love Latin because it has such a passion. Jazz is passion too, but it's just like the Satin Latin. It's just smooth and just it always feels good. And whenever you play something Latin, people always start moving to it. It has this nice groove to it. Uh, and it's all different sorts of Latin, but it's just Latin flavored. And some of the songs actually start out Latin and go swing, and then go back to Latin and go back to swing, all inherent. So I thought, what am I going to call this? I can't call this just a jazz record. It's got the jazz and the nice blend of the jazz and the Latin. So I came up with my passion for jazz and the Latin, which is like Satin. So I thought I toyed around with all kinds of ideas. And I ended up with that because it tells you exactly what it is.
Because your jazz is it is smooth without being smooth jazz. It's very like you say intentional. That's why I was wondering why you chose those songs of like for instance the Porgy and Bess songs. Why did you choose those two rather than the other ones?
Well, we actually, when we got together playing tunes, I had no intentions of making this out actually into a recording yet. After COVID, the guitar player I was working with, we got a gig at a restaurant every Sunday. I playing out in an outdoor patio, and it was Italian, where it happened in a little Italian place right in Venice, Ocean Park area, and we want to get their Sunday brunch thing going. So we started playing outdoors there with guitar, bass, and myself. And he's coming. He comes from the West Montgomery School of playing straight ahead jazz, and he turned me on to a lot of other songs that I hadn't really heard of. So we combined our efforts as to which songs we would pick and what we like to play, and he had a chart on this man on the Gershwin song. So it was we got it. It just has a haunting, really longing feeling to it. And so that's one of the tunes that we picked. We had about 60 tunes that we were playing on and off. So I handpicked just a handful of tunes, just my favorite ones to record for this album. Because I mean, George Gershwin wrote a zillion songs, as we know. So and this song it was different. It was more like a bluesier, more like wada wada wa ba da da ba ba. I really felt it, and it's a song about longing. Also, it's from the movie. So
Mhm. It was really beautiful. What about Night of the was it Night of the Hunter?
Night of the Thousand Eyes. The night
Yeah,
has a
yes.
thousand eyes.
Sorry. Yes. Yes. I was listening to the whole album last night. So yeah, Night of a Thousand Eyes. So why that song?
Every one of the songs, and including that one too, I think because that goes Latin jazz also, and which I find that very interesting because a lot of jazz cats will just maybe record it straight ahead jazz all the way through. But I thought, you know what? Everybody's done that. Why don't I do it the way it was actually written? Or I don't know who actually first came up with that idea to do Latin and jazz, because it really just makes all the transitions just a little more exciting. They're building to go into another groove, and it takes you on a little journey. And I just love the way the tune plays out, and it's fun to play.
So the Latin rhythms are faster than the jazz rhythms, right?
Well, no, you're still in 4/4. You're going to so it's like it's the blah, blah, uh, so it just goes from swing to jazz. So I'm still early in the morning here for me. So it's still the same rhythm. It's still the time signature, but the groove just changes. So 1, 2, I want to for me. She take it down to take it gum ba-dee-ka-tick-gum, ba-da-da-bum-bum, ba-dee-dee-da-dum. That goes into jazz. They go to ba-dee-da-da-ba-ba-dee-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da, ba-dee-da-da-da-dum, dee-da-da-da-dum, dee-da-da-da. It goes back into jazz. So it goes from swing to like more of a straight eighth feel. It goes back and forth that way. Makes the tune exciting.
Which genre came first, would you say? Would it be jazz or would it be Latin?
Well, it's actually like a jazz. It's like jazzy Latin. It's like there is jazz Latin. There's jazz. There's Cuban Latin. There's South American Latin. There's variety of Cuban jazz, even like. But it's not straight Latin per se because it's not like Latin pop, which is more like rock grooves or even just like all the different Latin rhythms like the charangas or all that. This is it still has a jazz flavor.
And isn't that spreading throughout the world? Even Asia right now is caught up in this mix, isn't it? Isn't it?
Yes, I think so. That's what I'm hearing. It's just they it's exciting. It's exciting feeling.
Mhm.
And it just makes you feel good. That's what I like. Anything I do, it's got to feel good. So that's even the straight ahead jazz. It's got to have spark and energy. And I play melodic jazz. I don't play easy listening. Although this is very easy listening because I play very fluid. It's very fluid jazz. It's not out there jazz where you got to sit there and think and say, "Oh my God, I can't play this during a dinner party or something." You can put this on for a barbecue for any kind of people that listen to any kind of music because we made it very accessible.
Is it very danceable? Do you find the audience getting up and dancing?
Absolutely. They start dancing too. Because there's actually the straight ahead jazz is like swing, almost swing jazz, you know. So
Mhm.
that makes it, it makes you feel good. You still want to be moving around. It's like, oh, right, it's happy jazz without being. It's not new age. It's not smooth jazz. Uh, but it's a little more adventurous because we're actually playing, approaching it like the jazz masters would, like Clifford Brown or uh, all the different Lee Morgan or even Wes Montgomery. They play straight ahead, but with more of a we do it with more a lyrical feeling. So you don't have to think about it too much. It just makes you feel good. So it's
So
feel
by
good jazz.
so by straight ahead, it do you mean it's more like pure jazz, what they feel jazz is supposed to be, like more close to the book? What do you mean by straight ahead?
Oh, straight ahead just means it's basically called straight ahead jazz. You play the melody and then you blow solos. You play the
Oh.
melody and then you take
Mhm.
solos over it. But I approach the solos with a more melodic approach.
Mhm.
Instead of some of that out there jazz. Like I played in a band with Art Pepper, who was like an alto sax player who played like that, and I didn't quite understand that. To me, I grew up on melodic jazz, learning like some Stefan Grappelli with Django Reinhardt, the Hot Club de France, all that happy jazz. It's that happy swing jazz. I was doing that uh, when I first started out in like 1975, and we were doing a lot of the Django book, but we also throw some Louis Jordan tunes like "Ain't nobody here but us chickens, ain't nobody here but us. You better stop that fuss and stop." All that happy finger snapping, toe tapping 30s swing jazz. And then years later, I got into listening to Miles Davis and John Coltrane and all the other jazz. So I kind of mix it together, and I have my own style of all that put together.
How did you get your feet wet? How did you start playing uh with your other bands, and then because first you were a student, was did your teacher that great teacher introduce you to some of the players? What happened?
No, actually, I got this is a good, this is an interesting story. When I got in that 30 swing band, not the clarinet player, it was clarinet, acoustic guitar, well, electric. Everybody were all electric there. We played into a PA system, but guitar, bass, drums, three girl singers, and a sax player. And I had to teach myself how to play swing. So I was listening to Grappelli play on all the 30s hot club albums and dissecting the solos to figure out what made them work. So I really worked hard by playing, studying it, and trying to learn how to play. And from playing in that group, all these people were already working in the studios. Used to come down to see me play because word got out that this hippie kid was down in Venice playing hot jazz with this group, and it was swing music wasn't back in yet. It had different um, risings over the periods of time. It got really popular in the 80s, or it's like swing clubs. But this was like in mid 70s. So and Don Ellis was a jazz trumpet player, had his Don Ellis big band with string quartet. they asked one of these studio guys if we wanted to play, looking for a viola player. And he said, "Oh, you got to call this guy, Jimbo Ross." Oh, that's where I got the name Jimbo, by the way, from Dr. Jazz. That's the name of the group I was with.
Oh,
Everybody had nicknames. So I thought, oh, I was just Jim Ross or James or Jimmy. So it seemed to take. And that's how I got introduced into the world of music, playing on movies, TVs, records, and all that. But this is what happened. We had our very first concert. I went to go meet Don Ellis, and he says, "What are you doing?" "Oh, I'm playing jazz with this band down in Venice." So I showed up at the Union for our very first rehearsal, and he wrote a big band chart featuring me as a soloist. Imagine how I felt after that. I went, "Whoa!" So I learned really quick by jumping in and doing it. They gave me the challenge, and I rose to it. We had our very first concert with Don Ellis at this one the outdoor concert arena near the Hollywood Bowl, and the cello player that was on the gig said, "Jimbo, be really nice to this guy who's coming to the concert. He'll get you work." I went, "Work? What do you mean work?" I was Jimbo the handyman in Venice because I grew up. I worked in a hardware store, so I knew how to fix things. So I was playing with this club down in Venice and getting some odd jobs just to pay my rent. And rent was $120 a month for a whole house in Venice, because Venice at the time was a ghetto. It's now you can't even it's now you can't even touch any property down there now. But timing is everything. So, anyways, that so sure enough, I met this guy at after the concert. Don Ellis introduced me as the only jazz violist in captivity. So I'd run out. I have electric string quartet where we're all plugged into amps on the side. I'd have to unplug, run out in front of the whole big band, plug in, play a solo with this 22-piece big band going ba da ba ba da 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 behind me, and I'm like, my hair is standing straight up, my heart's pounding out of my chest. But I just had to like dial it in, center everything I was taught how to play, and just connect, and just let the spirit move me. And where I would just play a solo, and I have to unplug, run back to the string quartet, and then play my part with the and sometimes he would give me solos just from sitting and standing in the string section. He just point at me and say, "Start, yeah, you solo." So I was very blessed. The This arranger, I mean, this contractor, he was actually a violinist and a contractor for the studios, called me that night, called me for my very first recording day. And from then on, it was just like my all my handyman tools got stolen out of my truck, and I became a studio guy like overnight. And it was during a period of time when there were strings on everything, all the Earth, Wind, and Fire, Barry White, Donna Summer, uh, Barbra Streisand, Tony Bennett, Frank Sinatra. I was very privileged at a good time when there were strings on all that stuff before synthesizers were born. When synthesizers were born, all of a sudden strings were like drummers were out because they could do everything on a on a computers in the mid '80s. So um, anyway, so that was my first introduction into Hollywood. That was and all the beginning to work, and then from that I met all kinds of players. I played with Horace Silver. I worked with a lot of different other jazz cats and singers and different bands. Played in the salsa band for a while, uh, and all different sorts of music. And I even played at Forever Tango, this group from Buenos Aires. There's four bandoneon players and a string quartet and a piano and a bass for all the dancers doing the tango. They're still on tour, called Forever Tango. And their viola player had to go home to Argentina. So they said, "Who do we get? Who can we get?" And they said, "Oh, my name came up." So call a guy Jimbo. Jimbo, he plays everything. So it opened the door for me to be exposed to all these new exciting adventures. And I learned the whole tango book because you can't play it unless you know the style, really. And I became one of them.
So
One of
you had to learn right away over there, or did you already have some experience with the tango?
Well, I had played in a salsa band, so that's not really Argentinian music. So, but I listened to it briefly, and I was able to absorb it and I was able to play it like that. So I got in. I had one rehearsal and I played the rest of the shows in Hollywood at the Wilshire Theater for two weeks, and they were going to go to San Francisco, and they wanted to take me with them. So I went with them to San Francisco. They wanted strong reviews, so because I came up and I played with them up there for like a month.
How
And
old were you at the time?
this was about 30 years ago.
Mm.
Ish, maybe, yeah, about it was around 70, when was it? No, 80. It was in the 80s. That's right. Sorry. Um, that was more like 1980.
Mm.
Oh, 90. I mean, yeah, that was right around, yeah, right around the 90s, I think. That's right. So
So,
actually, it wasn't that long ago. It was 25, 35 years ago.
mhm. So luckily, they stole the tools, the handyman tools, but not your strings.
No, no, I never left my strings in the car.
Ah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me turn this off. Potential spam.
Mhm.
Anyways, how about okay. Uh,
And you also became familiar with the 3D printer and the shortcomings of your viola. So you made one that had an extra
well,
string.
I found this maker of electric instruments, and a friend of another violin player, friend of mine, told me about him, and he works. He did all the set designs, all the computerized set designs for Star Wars movies. So all these things you see on the side of the side of the screen, or when they go through the Valley of Doom or something on their spaceship, and all these things reaching out. He created all those things on a 3D printer in the studios. But he loved violins, so he created while he was in the studio. He had all these high tech. I don't know how high tech it is, but it's a 3D printer in the studio to be able to, on his free time, he was creating violins and violas. So this is a five string. So it's actually a violin and a viola. So I have the low string for the violas, and then it goes all the way up to the high string from a violin. Because if you here's a four strings, a violin is high, you know, going high to low, E A D G, and a viola is A D G C. It goes down to a low C. So you put all that together, I have this wide range to be able to play. So it just widened my range. And I loved his concept, the way he built the instrument. It looks really interesting, and it's built right. It's hollow on the inside. It's built like a violin or viola. Has a bass bar. Has a sound post. Has two pickups, one on the bridge, one side the instrument. So it gets the richest, most warm sound that which I liked, like a viola would sound. But it could be electric.
Wow.
And it has a
And
little opening on the top too, so it breathes. So some of these other electric instruments are just like sticks with a body around them, with with just a frame, not even a body even. A lot of the different makers, they have no soul. There's no real organic sound out of them.
and this one from a 3D printer had soul.
Oh yeah.
Was the did the very first one that he created for you work, or did he have to do it again until it was right?
Well, he's been making them for a while, and he actually, while I was at his house he lives up in Ojai, which is a little area above, gorgeous little area. And somebody called from Norway and bought one over the phone. Called him up, so he just because he heard about him. So he, apparently his name has been out there, and he's already been making them. Several people have been buying them. So he happened to have one left in the process of making more, and I said, "Wow, I like it. I'll take it." Took it to my luthier, my own shop guy down where I live, so he could adjust it to make it just right for my feeling. Just the bridge, just the way the instrument laid on the, and like you have to do that with regular violins or violas anyways. They go to your luthier and they will adjust it for you.
You mean for the length of your arm, kind of the
No,
string?
just the way the setup is, the way the bridge. If the bridge is too high, you got to lower the bridge so you have a better finger action, and that's all. Just kind of you had to like tweak it a little bit and make it just right for me. It was nothing major. The instrument itself is what it is, so it made it so it's like comfortable to play.
What it sounds like is a tailor tailing clothes.
exactly. It's just a perfect fit.
So that is that the instrument that you are playing now? That
Yes,
you're using now?
that's the instrument I use when I play electric stuff. When I play like in clubs and concerts and all the bands I work with, that's what I play. Although I do have like an 1850, so it's patterned after us actually a 17. It's patterned. I have an old Italian viola. It was actually, but it was a copy. It's a copy of an old. It's a viola that was given to the LA Philharmonic, and a friend of mine had it on a session. I went, "Wow, where did you get that?" And apparently, she said, "Oh, there was a copy of that viola that was given to them." She took it to um, 17. It was like 1758 or something. One of the early Pellegrino Zenetto. Apparently, he was a violin viola maker that everybody after that made instruments like he did. Before Guarneri, Amati, Stradivarius, he's one of the earliest guys that he made the first template of what the string instruments were going to be like for to until today.
So
But
he preceded Stradivarius.
yeah, he preceded Stradivarius.
Wow.
So they learned from this guy. I didn't even know about this Pellegrino Zenetto, and so she took the old instrument to her luthier, the string doctor, the guy that makes instruments and stuff, to make it up for her so she could actually play because older instruments have little issues about them that you have to situate. So he said, "Wow, do you mind if I make a copy of this?" She goes, "I don't. It's not mine." She said, "It belongs to the filler. I don't care." So he took all the dimensions of it and made copies of it. He made three of them. One of them has this gorgeous, magnificent sound that was just the sound I've always been looking for in an acoustic viola. So that is what I play when I'm in the studios, when I'm playing with like string sections or orchestras. I play viola for first violist of a couple of orchestras, and I still play classical music and all sorts of stuff as well. But the five string made by Brandon McDougall, they're called liquid violins because they're like liquid. They just so they wow they it's just easy to play and it sounds rich, fat, and full. So I didn't want an electric sounding viola. I wanted an electric viola that sounded acoustic.
So the acoustic violas sound warmer.
Well, they just acoustically all by themselves they sound warmer, but I wanted to get an instrument that I could play electric without having feedback problems
Mhm.
to put a microphone on it or have to worry about trying to mic it and have a bunch of leakage coming in from everybody else's playing. Uh, so enables you to have your own little compact recordable sound or playing live without having to worry about feedback, and it duplicates an acoustic sound better than anything I've ever heard. That's why I like that rich, fat warmth. It doesn't sound like an electric instrument.
Mm. And again, how was he able to accomplish that it without the feedback?
Well, he's with just the way it was designed, it actually has pickups on the inside. It's not like a microphone. So it just has a piezo pickup on the bridge, a piezo pickup inside the instrument picks up the vibrations. So microphones are the things that normally feed back if you're too close to a speaker or that. Just you have less control. So
Mhm.
this has this a piezo pickup which actually sticks on the wood. It's actually a part of the instrument. So it picks up the vibrations of the instrument. If the instrument is made with good wood, it has a vibration. And he used only like one, really good like violin kind of wood.
Mhm.
But it's his own designs though. So this design he did, you can see it on the front cover of the it was so beautiful. I put it on the cover of the album. See
I
some
saw it. Yes, I was wondering.
see this picture behind me?
Yes, that's the cover of the album.
Yeah. That's a pareo from Tahiti.
Oh.
It's actually handmade, hand dyed, and I was trying to come up with an album cover idea, and my computer guy sent me like websites where I could download free art, and I had no concept of what I wanted to do, or what it to look like, and I was sitting right here looking at that and went, I wonder if that would look good. So I turned around, took a picture of it, sent it to him. He sent it back to me with my violin and my viola in the middle of it. I said, wow, that's beautiful.
Mhm.
It's got passion and it's got Latin satin. It's to me that has all the flow, the flowing, beautiful moments of passion and satin Latin. And
Mhm.
everything's romantic in my world. So I play a romantic instrument.
Mhm. What kind of wood is it? You said that there's a violin wood. Do you know what kind of wood
I
is a
believe it's
violin?
maple. Maple.
Oh, oh. Maple is is it a softwood or is it a hardwood?
It's a medium, I think.
Mm.
I think maple it can be a little bit soft, but this has got resin on it, so it's all protected and coated. Because fiddles and violins and violas are made with like spruce, usually a spruce top, and sometimes a maple back, or there's different kinds of wood on the back. I'm pretty sure that's what it is, but it has a beautiful flame. It just has a natural, it's not made like violas are. The wood's only about 3/16 of an inch thick. That's it. This is made a little bit heavier wood. He hand carves everything and molds it to his own liking. And he's a real craftsman with he knows what he's doing. It's the first electric viola I've ever found that sounded really rich, fat, and full like a viola.
Mhm. And you said that that maple wood has resin on it. Is that the natural resin or is it painted on resin?
I'm not sure what kind of resin he used. Whatever it is, it's a light coat. It's not heavily resin like a patio deck or anything, you know.
Mm.
Uh,
And that affects the sound as well, right?
oh
Every
yeah,
bit.
sure. Everything affects the sound. So I didn't really ask him about the resin, but it's a light coat, whatever it is. So it's not a heavy. It doesn't look like a heavy laminated instrument. Like you know,
And you said that when you're in the studio, do you mean when you're in the recording studio, you use this instrument?
I use a viola, my acoustic viola.
The acoustic one. Hmm.
Yeah. And if they want me to do other kinds of like improvs, like I did improvisations on the movie, what the heck was it? I I do. They want me to come in to do my specialty things where I improvise. I play certain things and so solo stuff. So I'll play my electric for that sometimes so they can change the sounds a little bit or put an overdrive on it so I can sound like Jimi Hendrix. I mean, depending on what they want, they can adjust the sound. Um, I forgot that one name of that one movie, but well, it's very adaptable. So you can play through all these different effects. When I play with my jazz band, I just have a nice little Henriksen amp, which is the best amp for Henrik, HENRIKSEN. They're handmade in Denver. They are the nicest sounding amps for to read a piezo pickup. I just plug it in, add a little reverb on it, and just dial in everything is just left flat, straight up with bass, mid range, treble. It doesn't need any EQ. It 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 um, it translates the sound of the instrument without having to do any doctoring up. A lot of these instruments you have to add effects and all kinds of stuff and EQ and to get them to sound like more like a real instrument. But this instrument was very easy. I just plug it in and play it. That's what you hear on the album. I played the electric through my amp with a mic, close mic, a distance mic, and and combine those two mic sounds together to create a natural warmth.
How many bandmates do you have on this album?
There's five. Myself, including Joe Gaeta on guitar, Peter Marshall on bass, Peter Marshall on bass. I'm sorry, Joe Gaeta guitar, Peter Marshall bass, Joe Gaeta guitar, Peter Marshall bass, Stuart Elster on piano, and Ron Wagner on the drums.
Yeah, the sounds really clear. Do you know if their instruments have to be specially made, like your viola?
Oh, everybody has their own setup, but I have a genius engineer in the studio that we recorded this at.
Mm.
It's called the Sonic Boom Room, and he's just does amazing amazing work with our sounds for the uh, that's half the deal. You get a good engineer that knows how to mix and do everything. It makes you can make everything just sound gold. We spend a lot of time getting just the drums to sound just right. Spend a lot of time working on getting the bass sound just right. In the studio, got in the guitar. He's a Kevin Jarvis is his name, and he's just a pure genius and a total sweetheart to work with. He knew exactly what we wanted, how to make it happen, and be able to get everybody's soul the way they sound when they're playing the instruments. So it has a rich fullness. And we played together for we had that gig I was talking about every Sunday for we played there for a year and a half after COVID. It was sounding so good with just the three of us, just the bass, guitar, and myself. I said, "Man, I got to record this. This time to I did I played jazz my whole life. I never made my own jazz record, so it's about way overdue. We're starting the next one now. Actually, we're going to start recording in February for the next follow-up CD.
Beautiful. And when you play live, then the sound is totally different. You have to be so there's so much tweaking and attention to detail for the studio sound. So when you're playing in front of an audience, it must be very different then.
No, it actually sounds like pretty much the same, just live.
Oh,
Because he actually he was able to record us with our natural sounds.
mm,
So when we actually go out and play live, that's what it sounds like. It's
mm,
just when you're in the studio, you get to add some EQ and a little and you mix it. So, the viola's in the middle and the drums are in the middle, the guitar's a little to the left, and that sort of stuff. It's a mixing thing that makes it sound different.
oh,
Live, we're all just in front of you and playing. If the guitar's sitting up over here, you'll hear them from over there.
mm,
And unless you're in uh, a big auditorium where they mic everything and put you in the house speakers, it still will have a stereo mix.
mm,
So it'll still sound the same.
oh. So the acoustics of the room doesn't affect it that much then.
Oh, sure it does. Always. Depending, you can be playing in a big gymnasium, it's going to sound like a big gymnasium with too much echo.
Right, right. Yeah, we
But
heard.
if you're in a small little club, we all have our own little sounds. The guitar player has his little echo, little delay, or maybe a little something on his amp. The bass player just plays straight ahead with not anything on his amp, and the drums just plays depending on how it's mic'd. And you're all dependent on whoever's mixing that day.
Do you have any shows that are coming up?
Not right now. We're gearing for recording a new CD in February,
Mhm.
and we'll be doing some live playing after that, and hopefully get a little tour out of it. Maybe who knows? Come play in Chicago.
You're right. Have
Right?
you toured with Jazz Passion and Satin Latin?
We haven't toured anywhere yet, no. Because
Oh.
actually, I've been busy. I finished the album; it just got released in August,
Mhm.
and I've been working on a promotion. For the PR for the release of the album and get the. I hired Holly Cooper from Mouthpiece Music to do my press release, and I think she got me into contact with you. No, I think it was the Mike Herzon, the tracking from the tracking station.
Yes. Yes.
I got him to help me out get it out to where it needs to go, and that's how they got to you.
Mhm.
So and in the meantime, I got to juggle all kinds of stuff. I'm playing with different groups, and I'm doing recording, and I'm an arranger. I'm busy doing all kinds of projects. I can't just stop and just do my little jazz project. So I'm doing a lot of things. I'm multitasking.
Do
So
you
I
teach as
eventually
well?
will. I'll eventually will have like be playing some dates with the jazz group because it's just too good. I feel so happy doing it. So and it really sounds good.
Do you teach as well?
Oh yes, I teach,
Oh.
and I teach. I used to work at the Mancini Institute. Henry Mancini started out a school during the summer for kids that want to learn, and it was something that he set up under his own trust before he passed away that he wanted to give back. So you could see, so people could kids of all ages, but it's mainly just school kids could learn from professionals of what you have to do to get into the music business, to get to learn how to play. And I was teaching, I teach you all the stuff they don't teach you in music school, and also an approach to be able to play the instrument and then to improvise. A lot of string players want to improvise these days.
That's important. The stuff that that you learn from experience and that your mentors taught you that is not
Right.
taught in the in music school.
Absolutely. And then everything I learned along the way, I could share and give back by teaching. And it feels very honoring. I stay in contact with a lot of my students that say, I've really changed their life and how they approach to playing music, and they teach what I taught them.
Mhm.
So nice to be somebody else's mentor. I just
Mhm.
pass it on.
Yeah, quite a legacy.
Absolutely.
Well, Jimbo Ross, thank you so much for joining us on WZRD Chicago 88.3 FM. If our listeners want to learn more about you, where should they go?
But they go to jimboross.com, and that's my website. It takes you to my record label, which is bodaciousrecords.com. It's easier to remember my name than it is to write out Bodacious Records.
Mhm.
But that's my record label. So it's www.bodaciousrecords.com, or you just go to www.jimboross.com. It takes you to my website also. And
Mhm.
everything is on there. And all the places where you can download it, you can stream it. I'm on Spotify, Amazon, uh, and I have four other CDs out that are all more like a Chicago blues,
Oh,
funk, soul, old school R&B, and New Orleans Zydeco.
mhm.
So those are all, I've been doing that. That's my other band. It's called the Bodacious Band. It's a separate band. So I have the jazz band. It's the first thing that pops up on the moniker. Then when you go to my website, there's a whole easily accessible.
And what genre does the Bodacious Band play?
Oh, Chicago blues,
Chicago blues. Okay, got it.
funk, soul, old
Mhm.
school R&B, and New Orleans Zydeco.
Wow.
Mardi Gras, Party Gras.
Oh.
You Mardi Gras
Mhm.
stuff. And 'cause I love all styles.
Mhm.
But I'm back home in the jazz, playing what I'm doing right now with the Jazz Passion group.
And do you combine styles sometimes?
Oh, I combine styles all the time, but I
Mhm.
know how to stake to one style at a time. When I'm there doing one thing, I'm playing the jazz. When I'm doing the blues thing, I'm doing the blues thing. When I'm doing the classical thing, I'm doing the classical thing. So I wear many hats. I can play almost any style, probably 20 different styles in probably less than 2 minutes.
Oh.
Give you a little taste of everything. Different styles. That's just be that's because I've been exposed to all these different styles. I love lots of different kinds of music, and I love lots of ethnic music too. So there's all kinds of music they have a lot of good feeling to them. So I love them all.
And in jazz, passion, Satin, Latin, are there any songs that contain, like you said, all 20 styles in it?
No, I don't put all 20 styles on this album. I just put my heart and soul into every uh every track that's on the album.
Mhm.
So it's mainly just straight ahead jazz and Latin, and I put
Right.
my heart and soul in it. It's gotta have joy. Every note has to have joy in it.
Hmm. Okay. Thank you
Right.
so much, Jimbo Ross.
Thank you so much. Keep the music playing. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right.